So it's now confirmed that the Fury Joshua fight is pretty much dead in the water for December 3rd. Now, I watched this latest interview with Eddie Hearn on IFL TV, and he tries to be very clever with the way he words his answers. He tries his best to muddy the waters and create some ambiguity about who really broke negotiations off. But if you listen closely to his answers, he does actually tell you, and that is that Matchroom are the ones who broke negotiations off. And he also kind of hints at AJ being the one behind it all rather than it being him or perhaps 258 or somebody else. He says essentially that AJ was getting sick and tired of Tyson Fury taking to social media all the time to belittle him for not signing a contract. So AJ told him, let Tyson Fury go off and fight Manuel Charden. We'll do our own thing. Essentially, go back and listen closely to what Eddie Hearn says in the interview. And in terms of correspondence, again, he tries to make it sound ambiguous, but if you listen close, he says that the last correspondence there was when Queensbury sent back a draft version of a contract addressing certain issues that Eddie Hearn had with it. Sends back a draft version of the contract, I think it was last Wednesday or Thursday. And Matchroom haven't sent anything back to Queensbury since. Okay, again, you have to be careful with the way Eddie Hearn is trying to word things because he thinks he's being clever here. So this really does confirm what I previously said I suspected, which is that somebody in Team AJ doesn't fancy it. Either it's AJ himself, either it's Eddie Hearn, 258, DAZN, somebody in there, or maybe all of them don't fancy the fight. Now, of course, AJ initially came out and said that he was up for it. Was he just trying to save face all along? Or was he genuinely up for it because he was in his feelings after getting beaten by Usyk twice? We saw his meltdown in the ring. I felt like he was very emotional and that was causing him to make an impulsive decision with regards to fighting Tyson Fury when he's coming off 2 losses. Has he changed his mind upon reflection? Has somebody gotten in his ear and convinced him that it's not a good idea to fight Tyson Fury right now? You guys let me know what you think in the comments below, but I, at this stage, would really struggle with anyone who is trying to claim that it's actually Team Fury that are going in a different direction and Team Fury that broke off negotiations rather than Team Joshua. I don't buy the excuse that Eddie Hearn is coming out with. And actually, to be fair, Coogan does press him on it. Eddie Hearn is saying that Tyson Fury coming out on social media all the time saying the fight is off is basically what's led him or Team Joshua to pull out. But yet, he wasn't negotiating with Tyson Fury directly. Excuse me. He was negotiating with Queensbury Promotions. And if they're still happy to continue negotiations, we all know Tyson Fury talks a lot of rubbish very often. As long as his team are negotiating the contract with you, what's the issue? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't buy Eddie Hearn's excuse here. But look, I get it. Eddie Hearn points out, and it's true, that Anthony Joshua signed for the fight last year. Anthony Joshua was up for the fight before the whole AJ team were up for the fight with Tyson Fury on several occasions previously. When Tyson Fury came back to boxing in 2018, Eddie Hearn offered him the AJ fight along with, I think, Tony Bellew and Dylan White fights. But things change. Last year, AJ still only had 1 loss. He was coming off 2 wins. Now, he's coming off 2 losses. And a 3rd loss to Tyson Fury in a row, right? 2 losses to Usyk, then a loss to Fury. That could spell absolute curtains for Anthony Joshua's career, potentially. And I think that is what either AJ and or his team are trying to avoid right now. Would you use the word duck? Maybe. You could say Joshua has ducked Tyson Fury here for whatever reason. But if I was managing Anthony Joshua, certainly I wouldn't want to put him straight into the deep end after back-to-back defeats and a mental breakdown in the ring. If I was his manager, I would want to put him in. And there are going to be people out there saying, oh my God, how could you want to? If you're a manager, you're paid to make the best decisions for your fighter. You're not paid to throw your fighter in against somebody who even you think he's going to lose to every single time. If you are going to put him in there in a risky fight where you think he may lose, You want to put him in there when he's in a good place mentally and when he's at least got some momentum of wins, right? Surely a manager would want to do that. So if I was managing him or any other fighter in a similar position, I'd be saying, look, you don't want to go straight into a Tyson Fury fight after those 2 defeats. What you want to do is have some rebuilding fights. You need to get settled with a new trainer. I'm not so sure about this Angel Fernandez guy. Maybe as an assistant he's good, but as the main guy, I'm not so sure about him. Go over to the United States, be with Robert Garcia, listen to him. Don't think that you know better than him. Well, Angel knows better. Listen to him, not just with regards to what he's trying to teach you in terms of technique, but what he's trying to tell you in terms of the attitude you need to have to win these big fights. So that would be my advice to him, if I was dealing with him in a management capacity. And if I was managing Tyson Fury, I would tell him that he probably needs to stay off social media for a while, because even though, again, in my estimation, it was Team AJ who didn't want this fight in this instance, Tyson Fury was talking so much and he was saying so many things that the public didn't like that many people were starting to be convinced that it was actually him that didn't want it, rather than Anthony Joshua or Joshua's team. Most notably, when he started talking about Manuel Charr. I mean, nobody wants to see Tyson Fury fight Manuel Charr. Manuel Charr doesn't deserve to be anywhere close to a world heavyweight championship at this point. So why on earth Tyson Fury be bringing him into the mix? And then later on, he changed it to say, well, he's going to fight Charr and somebody else and maybe another guy on the same night. He's going to try and replicate what George Foreman did back in the 70s, where he fought several people on the same night. Another excuse that Eddie Hearn came up with, just to go back to him for a second, is that Derek Chisora received a contract for a fight with Tyson Fury later on this year. Now, again, he didn't send anything back. He, as in Eddie Hearn, the AJ team, they didn't send anything back to Queensbury. So what are Queensbury going to do? They're already in talks with Matchroom. And since Matchroom don't seem to want to fight, since Matchroom are clearly, in my view, and I think Bob Arum has also said this since, Matchroom are trying to run down the clock. And if Queensbury come to this realization, which they must have, then they're going to do the next best thing. They're going to say, okay, well, these guys don't want the Fury-Joshua fight. Let's see if they'd be up for putting Derek Chisora in with Fury instead then. A consolation prize, right? Because Fury's already called Chisora out. Let's see if that fight can happen. That makes perfect sense that Queensbury would do that. But Eddie Hearn, of course, using it as an excuse. Oh, they want to fight Derek Chisora instead and blah, blah, blah. No, I don't buy it. I'll do a separate video on who Tyson Fury should be fighting rather than the Derek Chisoras and the Manuel Charrs of the world. And in my view, remember I said right from the start, he shouldn't really be fighting AJ. AJ doesn't have any belts. AJ's coming off back-to-back defeats and a mental breakdown in the ring. Tyson Fury, if he's the best heavyweight in the world, he should be fighting guys coming off wins. Surely. So I'll do a separate video about that. Andy Ruiz is apparently a potential opponent for Tyson Fury, although I did see Ruiz say that he wouldn't be ready for December 3rd. Then again, if he is offered enough money, maybe he'll make himself ready for December 3rd. Whether he's ready or not, he'll just make sure that he's in the ring if he gets offered enough money. We'll see. But that certainly is more like the caliber of opposition you'd want to see Tyson Fury in there with. An Andy Ruiz, a Filip Pergovic, Michael Hunter, because this fight with Hunter and Hughie Fury is apparently off now. So yeah, why not Tyson Fury versus Michael Hunter? That's way better than Manuel Charr. In my view, that's better than Derek Chisora. Now, people are dismissive of Michael Hunter these days because of his poor performance against Jerry Forrest in a fight which I believe he lost. He was very fortunate to, a draw or a win that he got. But in retrospect, and remember, he beat Jerry Forrest early on in his career, comfortably. But second time around, Jerry Forrest gave him hell. But in retrospect, I don't think the Jerry Forrest performance was as bad as I initially thought. I just think Forrest has improved a lot. Reason I say that is because look at the Zhili Zhang Jerry Forrest fight. Yeah, Zhang dropped Forrest a number of times, but then Forrest was sticking it on Zhili Zhang throughout the fight. And Zhang was in trouble at stages in that fight. And then you compare Zhang's performance against Forrest to Zhang's performance against Hrgovic, it was night and day. Hrgovic wasn't able. I know there are reasons that Zhilei Zhang is given for his performance against Forrest, but either way, everybody has reasons, right? Everybody has excuses. So in retrospect, maybe Forrest is just one of these sneaky journeymen who manages to up his game and improve over the years. You know, it's still disturbing that he did so well against Michael Hunter and against Zhilei Zhang. But you look back in the days, Tyson Fury was struggling with certain people, struggled with the Steve Cunninghams and the Nevin Pikages of the world. So, you know, things happen. And of course, I've never said that Michael Hunter will go on to dominate the division or anything like that. What I have said is that Michael Hunter and Alexander Usyk would turn over some big names in the heavyweight division. Now, of course, my prediction came true with Alexander Usyk because he's turned over Anthony Joshua. And I still believe, I'm still convinced that Michael Hunter is going to turn over some big names in the heavyweight division. I'll talk about one of the names that he's been linked to at the moment in the wake of this Huey Fury fight falling out. But Tyson Fury, I would love to see face Michael Hunter. I think that's a really interesting stylistic matchup for Fury right there. And I'm sure he's going to be dismissive, as you know, this is the way Fury tends to approach people who have any kind of, or present any kind of threat to him, is he's dismissive because he doesn't want the public piling pressure on him to actually fight people. He wants to pick and choose who he wants to fight when he wants to fight them. He doesn't want the public to dictate who he's going to fight. That's basically Tyson Fury's attitude. So I'm sure he would be dismissive and say, oh, Michael Hunter's small and he's struggled with Jerry Forrest and it would be no different than the Cunningham fight. In fact, Cunningham was better than Michael Hunter and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm sure he would say that. But I want to see him prove it in the ring because talk is cheap. That's one thing we have to bear in mind. Talk is cheap. So let's actually see the action in the ring. Then we don't need to debate. And as I've said in many videos before, you cannot put your opinion about who would beat who above actual achievement, above actual results. Who did beat who? So while you may think that Tyson Fury is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time and we can put him up there next to the Alis and the Lennox Lewises and all these other people based upon who you think he could beat, the fact remains he doesn't have a resume that is anywhere close to being comparable with the heavyweights I just mentioned. He hasn't even proven himself in the ring to be the best heavyweight around right now. You may think that he's better than Alexander Usyk, but he hasn't got in the ring yet to actually beat him. So let's not get caught up in what you think or what I think. Let's actually push for the fighters to get in the ring. And then it will make our opinions obsolete. Let's see the truth revealed in the ring. So we can put all the speculation and all the opinions aside. That's what we all should be pushing for if we're all real boxing fans. Not allowing a guy to go off and have the Manuel Charr fights and the Chisora fights. And even, again, fighting AJ coming off 2 losses. No, that's not what I want to see. I'd rather see him fight people coming off wins. The AJ fight's always going to be there. Let AJ try and get himself together. See if he can, bounce back a little bit. Then maybe the AJ fight will be more interesting down the line. But as it stands right now, no, Fury should be targeting fighters who are at least coming off multiple wins. So I'll discuss that in a separate video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you're tired of the biased narratives and mass censorship on mainstream platforms, and you want to be part of a community of critical thinkers who love free speech just as much as you do, then come and join me on Patreon and access my weekly no-holds-barred, censorship-free podcast where we lift the lid on a wide variety of controversial topics. It's not mainstream friendly, it's not politically correct, but that's the whole point. We dare to stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. Just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called Hatman Hot Topics. You'll gain access to a minimum of 2 hours of exclusive content every single week, including podcasts, videos, interviews, live stream Q&As, as well as my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. Not to mention a vast back catalog of hundreds of hours of previous episodes. You can listen via the Patreon app with the option to download in high quality MP3.
We've also got an Element group where you can come and chat and hang out with myself and other members. Unlike Discord, it has full end-to-end encryption, it's decentralized, and it's 100% censorship free. You can also send voice notes as well as much larger audio and video files than you can on Discord. So come and sign up on Patreon. There's no contract, there's no commitment. You can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a cup of coffee. So I'll see you over there. I'm out.